For those of you that don't know, I did a full Disney Lorcana review. I did the good, the bad, and the ugly. Things I like, things I don't like, and then some things that did worry me a little bit. Well now, since that video has been out, I've been able to sit down and think about some things that Disney Lorcana can do for its future and how it may better itself. So today, we're going to do just that. We're going to take a look at Disney Lorcana's future. What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the Table of Madness. And yes, today we are going to take a look now at the future of Disney Lorcana and how I just think these are just some things that I put together for its future that I think Disney Lorcana can then better itself. And these are just a couple of bullet points that I just pretty much sat down and thought about a little bit. And since my other video, the Disney Lorcana review, the good, the bad, and the ugly, which by the way, thank you so much for you guys. You guys have blew up that video. Amazing job hitting the like button, the comments, and everything. I enjoyed every bit of that, especially the comment section, because there were a lot of things in the comment section that allowed me to make this type of video. So I thank you guys. I appreciate some of the healthy dialect that we had in there. And again, stuff like that is things that I really like, and it's what things that I get passionate about. I like to sit down and actually have conversations about certain things, and that's what's allowed me to make this video about Disney Lorcana, the future. So these are just some things that I just sat down and think to myself, like, if Disney Lorcana wants to better itself, which obviously it should want to, right? These are some things that I personally think if they did, they would take it to the next step and really actually compete in some of these bigger markets like the Pokemon companies of the world, Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast, and of course Yu-Gi-Oh! And Konami, because I do think Disney Lorcana at the very end of the day will be able to challenge for that top three tiers, basically, right? It's always been the big three at the top: Pokemon, Magic, and Yu-Gi-Oh! I do think Disney Lorcana is going to be a disruptor, and I do think that they are going to challenge those three companies, and I do think it's going to be here for the long run. And especially if they were to do the things that I mentioned, I really do think it's going to take them to that next level. But of course, before we do that, please guys, if you were watching this right now, do me the big favor, hitting that thumbs up button. Easy way to show your appreciation. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. Really do appreciate that. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. Disney Lorcana, the future. The first thing I think they should do, which is coming to nobody's surprise. Number one, reprints. It's just that simple, guys. They need to do more reprints. I understand some people, like, when they hear the word reprint, a lot of the collectors get a little, little skittish about that. And when I'm talking about reprints, I'm talking at a massive level, by the way. I'm not talking just a couple of reprints here and there. No, I'm talking a massive scale of reprints. Why? Because Disney Lorcana is just that popular. Again, you go on TikTok, you go on Reddit, especially like TikTok right now. I mean, there are just countless, hundreds of thousands of videos of people saying, come with me on my journey for the hunt for Lorcana, and they're just coming up empty because all the big box stores and local game stores just don't have the product right now. And if some of them do have the product, they're actually holding on to it, either doing like, basically you can only buy like one booster box or one of something, which again, that makes sense. But there are also some local game stores that are holding on to it for tournaments and stuff like that, which is something else I'm going to talk about here in a moment. So yes, reprints are very important. And again, I would do reprints all the way up until the second set is released, and then I would do one more set of reprints after that as well. So really just flood the market with chapter 1 up until the moment of chapter 2. After chapter 2 has been released and you've done like another set of reprints or two, then you cut it off basically right there. You basically say, okay, we're done reprinting, and maybe you make an announcement or a post on your social media account that, listen, after this, we are no longer reprinting chapter 1, so get it while you can, basically. So I think reprint now all the way up into the second set, and then after the second set. And some of you might be asking, okay, so they do reprint up to the second set. When is the second set coming out? Well, the second set is coming out November 17th, so that gives them plenty of time to reprint chapter 1 all the way up until chapter 2. And in my personal opinion, I think they should do another reprint or two after the release of chapter 2. Just like I said, just enough so everybody can get their hands on it. That should create a healthy economy for it, and it should also help lower these chapter 1 prices. With a set of chapter 2 coming out and reprints of chapter 1, that should help lower the cost of chapter 1 enough to where everybody should be able to get their hands on it and actually make quality decks without spending an arm and a leg. So that's basically first and foremost reprints. That comes to nobody's surprise, right? All right, so moving on now from reprints, the second thing I would like to see Disney Lorcana do for the future is a buying event. Now, hear me out for 1 second. What exactly do I mean by a buying event? Ravensburger, when they first opened up their servers to everybody, and even Disney Shop Online, when they opened up their market and their servers to everybody, what happened? They crashed. Ravensburger specifically could not handle it. Disney Shop Online, and that's because of bots and everything else, and the bot usage and stuff like that. So I get that. So their servers could not handle basically what was coming to them. What I mean by a 3-day buying event for the future of Disney Lorcana, if we're going to continue to see this type of hype and this type of problem around Disney Lorcana, one way to actually quell and actually hone in that hype and that machine basically of people just flooding your servers, especially online buyers, is to do a 3-day buying event. So basically do like a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, open up your servers, and basically instead of just actually buying this up, basically what you're doing is you're setting a pre-order. Like, I'm committed to buying, and put a limit on it, by the way, too. So for booster boxes, put like a 1 to 2 box per limit. I think 1 is actually good. This way it gives everybody the chance to get it. Put a buying limit on treasure troves. Maybe do like 1 treasure trove. You can only buy 1 booster box. And maybe you can buy like the max is like 2 gift sets, and maybe you can buy up to 3 starter decks. So you can buy 1 of each if you wanted to. If they did release 3, if they release 2, you can only get 1 starter deck each. And I would do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and basically have everybody just open up your server, get as many servers as you can, and this way, so you're prepared for this, right? And it's everybody basically committing to buying something. Like, you put down, if a booster box costs, like, let's say $149.99, and you buy a booster box, you buy a treasure trove, maybe you have to put 15% down, kind of like a Kickstarter almost, or kind of like the way, if you're familiar with action figures, the way Mezco does it. Mezco does it to where they announce an action figure, they open it up, everybody basically pre-orders this thing, and then eventually you put money down. So if you back out of it, they keep some percentage of money. And then basically from there, they start fulfilling orders. That's kind of like what Kickstarter does, right? Everybody buys in, and then from there, they start fulfilling orders. I think Ravensburger should do something like that to where everybody has a chance. You put a limit on everything, open up your servers, let everybody come in. You can even do a 2-day event, not even a 3-day event. You can do Saturday and Sunday, but put a time limit on so everybody knows when to just basically come in and try to get. So just this way you don't have this problem again. It's where everybody is flooding it, your servers shut down, and then there are people saying, I got charges all up and down my credit card, but I'm being told that I'm not gonna get my order. My order's not gonna be fulfilled. That's a problem, and the way to kind of handle that problem is to just do like a buying event. This way, again, everybody knows when it's coming. There's no surprise to anybody. It's your moment to get in. And this way too, if you have enough, and also too, by doing this, by the way, guys, by doing this, you get to actually see how many people are actually pre-ordering and buying your product a couple of days before release, during release, whatever it is, whatever you decide to open up this event. You would get a healthy idea of what it looks like when you release a set, or maybe even pre-order a set. Like, I'm talking like maybe if you do this like 2 days before, right, this chapter 2 will release, so maybe if it's November 17th, maybe you do it on November 15th. So you have 15 and 16, and then all of a sudden you start fulfilling orders from 17 all the way on. And people can get emails and updates saying your order's been received, your order's been fulfilled, your order's been shipped out, your order is out for delivery, stuff like that. This way too, like I said, you can get an idea, and it's in a controlled environment. So what they didn't do is they didn't do a controlled environment, they just opened it up and they just were not prepared. And that's the one thing I said back in my original view, the good, the bad, and ugly, which, by the way, if you want to go check that video out, there will be a link down below in the description box. But I said back then too, like, the one thing that worries me a little bit about Ravensburger is that I just don't know if they're able or if they're ready to handle what is coming their way. And clearly they weren't, right? See, the problem is, again, they had an open environment, they didn't have a controlled environment, and they just simply were not prepared for it. They opened their servers up to everybody, it flooded, it crashed, it was not a good look, and that's just something that you cannot happen again going forward. So one way I think to actually have a controlled environment, 3-day event, basically just leading up to the moment of chapter 2. Again, you can do a 3-day buying event, so you can do on the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, you know what I mean? You can do it over the 3-day period. People can pre-order and buy into it, and then you get to see what it looks like going forward, so then you are prepared for the future. So maybe you'd only do this for chapter 2, but then on chapter 3, you don't have to do this again, because now you understand and you know what's coming. Alright, so now we covered reprints, we covered how they can handle online servers with a 3-day buying event so it doesn't crash again. Alright, so now let's talk about what local game stores can do to support Disney Lorcana. And this came from a comment from someone else who was not the nicest, by the way, kind of like came out a little strong there, but I think I understand why, and it's, again, I get it. So, but I think the direct comment, I should pull it up on my phone, but I'm gonna go by memory here. I think he said, "Get off your soapbox. This game doesn't have much of a future if LGSs don't support them and give up table space, and no one's gonna do that." And I'm not sure if that was his exact quote, but I'm pretty close. And First and foremost, he's not wrong, by the way. I believe the gentleman's name was John. John was not wrong in the comment section for saying that. If local game stores do not support Lorcana and its fans by hosting events and tournaments, then yes, the game will eventually kind of just fade away into obscurity and people will just do their own thing moving forward. However, though, that was simply not the case already. We're already seeing local game stores hosting tournaments, hosting events, and Lorcana's co-producer, I believe his name is Matt Miller, I believe already came out and said they're going to do a 12-week tournament worldwide. And there's going to be the way they when you go to these events, you have a buy-in, and the way they track your points and everything. It seems like it's going to be a major event. With that being said, he's, again, absolutely, local game stores must continue to support Lorcana and its fans, hosting independent events, independent tournaments, buy-ins, all that kind of stuff. It is critical for the healthy environment that is Lorcana right now to see local game stores support it moving forward. Again, independent events, worldwide, national events, all that kind of stuff. It needs to be worldwide, by the way. It can't just be the US, but I am seeing it, though, in the UK and Germany. They're already hosting events. I know around my area in the Tampa region, there's been plenty of local tournaments and stuff like that. I even looked up, too, because if you look up Lorcana tournaments near you, just do a simple Google search, you will see that I think I saw Kentucky and Tennessee. It popped up on my phone. They have like 10 events. Out of the 10 events, 3 already were sold out, and the other 7 said close to being sold out, so get your tickets now. And they were $30 buy-in events. So that's pretty good as well. So if you just type in on Google Disney Lorcana local tournaments near me, you will find a lot of things. I found one in Tampa. I was able to find one in Miami. Tennessee as well. I guess it's kind of near me. You know what I mean? They were all sold out as well. So a lot of these game stores already supporting it. But yes, going forward, they need to continue their support, which will happen, of course, if it's still a very popular card game, which it seems like that's not going away anytime soon. But more importantly, to sit there and say that they're not going to give up table space like Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, if this game keeps going the way it is, of course they're going to give up table space for Disney Lorcana because people are buying it and they see it. They see people walking into their local game store and they're going to be, hey, do you have any Lorcana? Hey, can I get a boost? Hey, can I get this? Can I get this? Hey, can I pre-order stuff like that? So as long as that continues to happen and the hype is still there and the social media cloud is still going strong, they're going to give up table space, all right? To sit there and say that that would never happen, I don't agree with that. But I do think, though, it is crucial for the health of Lorcana, especially for the future. And it's good to already see that that's something they're already committed to doing, a 12-week tournament. That's excellent news already. Just need to continue pushing that going forward. And also kind of give out some cool promos and stuff like that, so people have stuff to give out as prizes and stuff, which would really help bring in those locals and buying in your tournaments. And speaking of promos and prizes to give out, let's talk a little bit now about collector sets. For the future of Disney Lorcana, me personally would love to see some collector sets being pumped out here in the near future. I think something like that for Lorcana would be amazing. What is one thing that I always say Yu-Gi-Oh does very well? They do excellent job at reprinting and making collector sets. And that right there is something that Disney Lorcana could really learn from Yu-Gi-Oh and actually make it their own as well. Collector sets, man, how great would it be to see some collector sets? I don't even know what you would call, like, I don't know, Disney magical sets, and they have like not promos, but like alternative art cards, some cards that are already really popular, like, I don't know, maybe like it's a Stitch, Lilo, Maleficent, cards that are really expensive. They can have their own specific foiling and alternative art, and you can put it in collector sets, and you could put a price tag of, like, I don't know, $50, but it comes with like 8 or 9 packs, and it's all, every pack has one alternative art card, and I don't know, maybe something like that. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. But I think collector sets would be fantastic in the near future. And it would also give, because one thing I did mention that was in the good column of my original video, which, by the way, you can go watch that video, link in the description box. In my original video, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I said in the good column, the one thing that Disney Lorcana did right at the gate was they had a wide diversity of products, right? You had booster boxes, treasure troves, gift sets, 3 starter decks. Okay, why not add collector sets now to that mix? That would be amazing to see that in the near future. I think they should capitalize on something like that right after the second Chapter 2 set releases. I think they should come right out of the in that month, that same month, say, hey, November 30th or November 29th or whatever, we're releasing Disney Lorcana collector sets, and we're going to be releasing them on our website and at Target and Walmart and local game stores, and they're going to have 8 packs, they're going to have a promo in it, and they're going to have alternative art one alternative art card in every one of these little boxes or something like that, or they can make a tin out of it. Do something, man. Take a page right out of Yu-Gi-Oh's book, man. Yu-Gi-Oh does a fantastic job with collector sets, whether it's the gold sarcophagus or the heroes tins or any of these tins that they make. They do a fantastic job with their collector sets. They even do a better job with their new rarity and foils. Disney Lorcana, take a page right out of that book, man. Fans will go nuts for that. Okay, I got 2 more things for the Disney Lorcana future, but real quick, if you stuck with me for this long, I really do appreciate it. Please do me the big favor of hitting that like button. If you're new here, consider hitting that subscribe button. Hey, while you're at it, hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. All right, so we touched on a lot of things here. Now we're going to touch on something else that I saw in my comment section personally. I think I saw like 2 or 3 of these comments where basically they're saying like, I would like to play but can't. I would like to play but my play group, you know, is already too down the Magic the Gathering rabbit hole, or I'm too invested in Pokemon, or too invested into Yu-Gi-Oh, or the cards right now are just too expensive, or I don't have a play group at the moment. It's just me by myself. No one else wants to hop on board with me. I can't get my wife, find time to play a game with me. All that very valid, and I understand why that would stop you from buying or thinking about collecting and playing Disney Lorcana. One way to fix that, having a digital version. Listen, we live in the digital age. People, I think at this point now, it's almost, I want to say probably, I might be wrong by this, but correct me if you guys think I am wrong, by the way, and you guys can comment down below on this. I think it's about 60-40 in the TCG world and trading card game world. First and foremost, these are called trading card games, right? It's supposed to be an actual game. I think 60% actually play the game. I think 40% of most of us probably collect it. And I'm kind of in that middle of 50-50. I do play these games, but I do collect them. And that's why I think it's more 60-40. I think majority still play most card games and don't collect. With that being said, I do know if you were to ask me this 10 years ago, it would have been like 75-25. Most people play and then 25% collect. With the market being what it is, and that these cards are now, there's so much investment going into these cards. People do look at this as an investment. I think now we're closer to 60-40. One way to actually fix some of these problems that people are saying, like, I want to play but can't, I want to play but. One way to just kind of fix that is to just make a digital version. And one thing that I did notice about Disney Lorcana, if you pull the last card out of a pack, it has like a little barcode, which I think it's you can download their app, which Disney Lorcana app is actually really good. It gives you all up-to-date news, rules, and it gives you a little like tracker, a lore tracker. So it's actually really, really cool. I'll pull it up on my phone so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about. So as you guys can see, here's the Disney Lorcana app, and you're going to see it's going to download. It's a really nice app. And then you can go right over to your lore counter, and then you can play 2 players. Say you want to do a dark theme, and that's a nice little way to kind of keep track of who's winning and who's losing. Another thing they can do with that same app is to just have a digital version in that app, right? So people can play online. Take a page out of Pokemon's book. Pokemon does that with the last pack of the cards having that little code. How great would it be if Disney Lorcana, the last pack in their card, had the barcode that you can scan on your app and get a digital pack of cards? Because that's kind of where we're also going to, right? A lot of people play these games, but then you have to ask yourself, well, how much of that audience plays person to person, right? In person live. I would argue again, if you would told me this 10 years ago, the majority probably played person to person. Today, we are definitely getting closer to the 60-40 split, I believe, that probably play digitally, whether it's Tabletop Simulator, whether it's the Pokemon app, Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Yu-Gi-Oh owns a lot of great online app card games right there, right? Where you can just sit down and just play Yu-Gi-Oh, and it's excellent the way they do it. Lorcana should definitely take a page out of that book, go digital, and do it early. This way, for some of those people that say, I want to play, but that but now says there's no more excuses. You can play. Go online, play it. It's free to download, free to play. Buy some pack of cards, scan the digital barcode, get a digital pack of cards, like stuff like that would then just add to the what is already healthy economy for Disney Lorcana. If they would do that early, especially now, it would be amazing, because then everybody can start playing online with their friends, and they can share the app with their friends, and they can just play online. It would just give the playing experience that much better, and it just means that more people are playing your card game. All right, guys, that is going to bring us to the last thing I want to talk about. So real quick, do a quick run through. We did reprints, LGS support, 3-day buy-in event, digital version, collector sets. These are all great things that I personally, again, this is just my opinion, by the way. If you agree or disagree with me, let me know down in the comment section. But I think some of these things would really help Disney Lorcana for the future, both far and near future. The last thing I want to talk about, and I'm going to show you guys some actual examples of what I think is already in the works for Disney Lorcana. The last thing I think Disney Lorcana should do is formats. What I mean by that is, what's the most popular format in Magic the Gathering right now? Quick, go ahead and say it. Oh, Commander, correct. Thank you. Glad you guys agree with me. Commander is the most popular Magic the Gathering set. I said in my the good, the bad, and the ugly original Lorcana review that I did, I said that in the bad section, it was an MTG knockoff. It's the Magic the Gathering knockoff, which I said is not bad, not terrible, but it is bad because how many people are going to jump from Magic the Gathering over to Disney Lorcana? Well, one way to almost guarantee that a lot more people would jump over from Magic the Gathering to Disney Lorcana is to have a Commander knockoff format, and I do think that is coming soon, because I'm going to show you guys some actual examples of the cards that Disney Lorcana already printed in their first set that have some very interesting text on it that have me saying, I think a Commander knockoff is coming for Disney Lorcana in the near future. So what I mean by some cards that are very interesting to me and why I think Disney Lorcana already behind closed doors is thinking about, hey, let's make a Commander format for this game, because Commander is the most popular format over Magic the Gathering. We are kind of a ripoff. I'm sure they won't say this out loud, but I'm sure they know, like, hey, we stole a lot of mechanics and stole some card text over from Magic the Gathering into our own card game because, well, imitation is the best form of flattery. And of course, why not rip off Commander while we're at it too? So here's one card that kind of caught me. And when I first opened up this card, I immediately said out loud, I was like, oh, this has Commander written all over it. So let me explain. So this is Ursula, the 7-drop, the Power Hungry, and it says it's too easy. Now, by the way, this card on its own, pretty expensive, but in the Commander format would be even more powerful. On its own, still pretty powerful, because anytime you can reduce lore and you can gain it that way, or you can draw cards by reducing lores, it's a pretty powerful ability on its own. Now imagine in a 4-player format, how good is this card? And hear me out. So it says it's too easy. When you play this character, each opponent, that's very critical. It says each opponent, not your opponent, like singular. No, it is already saying each opponent, as if there were multiple people sitting at the table with you playing this game. Just like Commander format. For those of you that don't know, Commander is a 4-player format. It's you versus 3 other people at the table. It is the best format. It's the format that I play. It's why I have up here 32 deck boxes of Commander decks. Okay, it's 100 decks, all singles, no duplicates, other than land. Best format in the world. So it says each opponent loses 1 lore. You may draw a card for each 1 lore lost this way. Again, in a 3-player format, imagine 3 people losing a lore and you drawing 3 cards off of that. Very powerful, and again, very crucial that it says each opponent, as if, again, they're already saying, we know there are multiple people sitting at this table. I do think behind closed doors, Lorcana is already building up for Commander. Here's another example. This is Rapunzel, the 6-drop. I'll put this card off to the side. This is the Rapunzel 6-drop, letting down her hair. Tangle. When you play this character, each opponent loses 1 lore. Again, saying when you drop this card, each opponent, as if there were multiple people there. I personally think if they weren't going to make a command, and I could be totally wrong, and the future will decide whether or not I'm right or wrong. This video will age either really good or really bad for me. But personally, I do think behind closed doors, it has already been said that, hey, we're going to make a Commander format. Give us like 3 sets into it, and then we're going to announce a new format coming. After they have their first tournament of 1v1, eventually I think they will open up to a Commander-like format, and I'm sure the rules by then will be very changed, especially after probably another color has been revealed and more mechanics keep coming out for this card game. But again, they say each opponent. Why not just your opponent loses 1 lore? Why not just your opponent? As if, again, they didn't have future mindsets of saying, looking forward to the future, saying, hey, we're going to release a Commander format. Again, these cards both say each opponent. Here are some other cards that I also think, if they were to make a Commander format, would be very interesting. How about a whole new world, right? Each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. 3 people at the table, everybody draws brand new cards. I can just see Lorcana being a Commander-like game, and it would be so much fun that way. They do have to change their rules a little bit to allow a little bit of bending, to allow the rules to be a little more flexible. Like, Right now, Lorcana is Magic the Gathering at sorcery speed. In other words, Lorcana is just a little bit slower than Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering, you can play instances and flashcards, and the gameplay is rapid if you're not paying attention. So that's another card. How about this one too, right? For those of you that don't know, when you play Magic the Gathering and you play Commander, a lot of politicking going on, a lot of talking and chit-chatting going on to your opponents, being like, hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. White Rabbit's Pocket Watch can do that exact thing. You can tap this card, and this is why I say they have to do instant speed, not sorcery speed, so they have to change the rules up a little bit for this format if it was able to actually work. I'm late. Tap an ink to tap this card to give your character, a chosen character, not even your character, says chosen character gains rush this turn. Let's say your opponent plays a card, you tap this and say, hey, you get rush, go attack my opponent with that card right now. Okay, what are you going to do for me in the future? Politicking is so much fun in Commander because there's just so much backstabbing going on. I love it. So much fun. And then last but not least, another cool example would be Robin Hood, the Good Shot. The Feed the Poor. When you play this character, if an opponent, again, doesn't say your opponent, if an opponent has more cards in their hand than you, draw a card. Let's say all three of your opponents have more cards than you. You play this card, now you draw 3 cards. These type of examples, I mean, just imagine how much fun you can have with Lorcana. And I'm just giving like some quick examples here. I mean, this type of format, Commander format for Lorcana, I think would explode Lorcana. And then I would say that's how you get people from Magic the Gathering to jump over to your card game. Right now, there isn't a much like better option. Am I going to stick with Magic the Gathering or am I going to jump over to Lorcana? Well, Lorcana's more expensive than Magic the Gathering. The individual cards are more expensive. And my favorite format is Commander Magic the Gathering, and they don't have that kind of format for me. So I'm going to go stick to Magic the Gathering. You pull this off, you would get more people from Magic the Gathering to jump over to your card game. Okay guys, that is going to bring us to the end of this video. Again, I'll do a quick recap of Disney Lorcana, the future, both far and near. These are just, again, my opinion and my ideas that I think that, and I'm sure, you know, behind closed doors, that this is already being talked about on some level. And I know some of you guys might be saying, well, you're not talking about like gameplay specifically. I think the gameplay is just fine the way it is. That's kind of why I don't really talk about gameplay as much. Plus, I'm also talking about ways to just help Lorcana just keep developing and growing their fan base. That already is, by the way, very healthy. If you just do some of these things, I think personally would just take them from basically, let's say 1B to 1A, basically. I think they're already right there, and I think they're going to be a disruptor for the top 3 big companies, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Because there is right now a growing sense that a lot of people are not happy with Magic the Gathering. They're not happy with Pokemon. They're looking for a reason to leave. You do, I think, these things, I think you'll give them a really good reason to leave. And I also talk about this in a form of both players and collectors alike, because again, I think we're at that 60-40 split. So you do have to talk about the collectors as well as the players. And I think some of these things would benefit both of us. So again, quick recap for you guys. First and foremost, I think do reprints. Second thing I would do 3-day buy-in events until you have a better understanding of how to open up your servers for online buying and online shopping. Third thing I would do is have more LGS support and tournaments, both local and national tournaments. I think a digital version is also very well needed as well. It just give people who are saying right now to themselves, I want to play, but if you give a digital version that's free to play, there's no more excuses. Also, too, how about some collector sets? That's something Yu-Gi-Oh! Does very well. I mentioned if you guys, Disney Lorcana, would actually have out collector sets and do alternative arts for some of the most popular cards already, especially after, let's say, Chapter 3 hypothetically has been released. I think that would be a good time to also do some collector sets. And then last but not least, I think behind closed doors, I already give you guys some examples. I think format changes are already coming to Disney Lorcana. I do think they are going to make a Commander-like format for Disney Lorcana. One thing also, too, I want to mention real quick, too, and I should have mentioned this earlier when I was talking about the digital version for you guys. You could play online right now. There are 2 sites that you can visit, Pixelborn, and you can also do Tabletop Simulator, where you can play Disney Lorcana online. The reason why I didn't mention it, it's not ideal. It's not fully, you know, the best way to do it. There are little bugs and glitches with the rules and stuff like that, but for the most part, both of them are very, very good, and you could use that right now if you want to play Disney Lorcana online without, you know, waiting for like an official app or something like that. And I did mention that in the comment section in my original video. So that is going to do it for the Disney Lorcana Future video. Again, if you guys want to check out, I will have a link down below in the description box for both my original Disney Lorcana review, the good, the bad, the ugly. Since that video, I was able to sit down, kind of marinate on a lot of the topics and conversations that I was having in the comment section. Again, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video of Disney Lorcana, the future. Again, these are just things that I think they can do in the near future and the distant future, and I think that would just help them grow a healthy player base for both players and collectors alike. I gave specific examples for all of that kind of stuff. I really gave, I think, in my opinion, more examples for the players than I did for the collectors, because that's what I want to look at first and foremost. If you have a good, healthy playing base that's playing live and in person, your game is going to take off no matter what. And I do think Disney Lorcana in the near future and the distant future is going to be here to stay. It's going to be a disruptor. And I do think at the end of the day, looking back on hopefully about a year or two, I think about closer to a year, I think we're going to be saying, man, remember the top three used to be Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and Yu-Gi-Oh! And now it's either going to be Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, and Lorcana, or Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, and Lorcana. I still think Magic the Gathering will always be up there as far as the top card game. I don't think anybody's really going to touch them, but I think Disney Lorcana can make a run at that if they really tried, especially if they put their Commander format to the test. So I do think that's coming, and I think behind closed doors, that's already been talked about. But let me know what some of your guys' thoughts are down below in the comment section. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree with any of my examples specifically. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you guys next time.